column pathways in charge of areas such as balance, proprioception, vibration, and fine-point discrimination, so being able to tell the difference between my finger placed here and here. So all the sensory functions that occur within your body. So to be testing this today, we're getting you to take your shoes off and I'll test both feet. I'll be pinching the joint of your big toe and moving your toe up and down. So I'll show you what this looks like so you can understand the movement. And I'll get you to shut your eyes. I'll move it up and down, either go down twice, up twice maybe, to confuse you. And I'm just going to see if you can identify for me whether your toe is being moved up or down. This will be an example of adequate proprioception within the body. So a negative test result warrants further testing up to like the ankle or the hands, but we'll just start with the toes for today to see how you go. So if you do get a negative test result, it could be indicative of something called Tabes dorsalis, which is a degenerative disease within the spinal column. Can be caused by late stage syphilis, but there are other causes for it. So a negative test result can indicate that disease. But again, we'll just start with the toes. If we're going to get a negative test result, there's further scans like CT scans, MRIs, blood tests in the lab, stuff like that to determine whether you do have anything that's occurring that's, not what should be functioning normally. So if I get you to take your shoes off for me, if you slip them off, we're going to do this foot first. Get you to place it up on the chair. Yep, so just heel up on the chair. So what I'm going to do first is pinch this toe, just at the joint. I'm going to move it up and then down. So this motion here is up and then that is down. Do you understand that's all fine? Alright, if I could grab you to shut your eyes if possible. Now you tell me whether I'm moving it down or up.
Down, up, up, down, up.
Beautiful. Right, well that was all functioning normally, so I'll get you to pop that leg down, take this off, and we'll do the next foot. Right, beautiful. So again, I'm just going to pinch that joint, bring it up and down, so that's an example of down, and that is up. All good so far? Alright, if I can grab you to shut your eyes, and I'll do the test. Alright, down,
Down, up, up, down, up.
beautiful. Well, that foot's functioning well as well. I'll grab you to put your shoes back on. Wonderful. Alright. So going off that test, it's unnecessary to do the ankle and the hands, as both of them were functioning normally. You were able to recite back to me what I was doing. That's indicative again that you don't have what's called the degenerative disease, Tabes dorsalis, or any dysfunction occurring in the spinal column tract. Hi Bowen, how are you?
I'm well, thanks, Rosie.
So today we're going to be performing a neurological assessment in terms of your cranial nerve function. So specifically we're going to be looking at your oculomotor muscles, which control movement of the eyes up, out, side, in, down, and then the action of cross-eyed when I point my finger into your nose. So in terms of doing this test, it's important to note that if you do get a negative test result, which is unable to perform out, in any of the movements, either 1, 2, or all of them, this could suggest a lesion within the cranial nerves, so specifically C3, 4, and 6. So they're the 3 that control eye movements. If there is a lesion, it could indicate double vision, or it's called diplopia, that's a condition. So when you look in that direction, you won't be able to move your eye. You could see a blot or a circle and just not be able to correctly see as your other eye is. This will kind of present itself as one eye is looking forward, as the other eye is looking to the side or up, depending on what I was doing the motion. So both eyes essentially won't match up with what they're doing. So to get a positive test result, obviously, you're able to perform all of the functions, movements that I ask of you, and then there'll be no problems with that. So we'll perform the test now. What I'm going to be doing is tracing a rectangle, and then at the end I'll bring my finger close into your nose, and that should make your eyes go cross-eyed, and then your pupils should dilate when this occurs. Alright, you ready to perform the assessment?
I am.
Alright. So following my finger. Beautiful. Alright, well all of those look like they were functioning normally, so I don't think there's any evidence or reason to believe that there is a lesion within any of the nerves that could lead to muscular dysfunction. So in terms of that test, you have passed, which is awesome, and there's no reason to perform any more, neurological assessments in relation to that function. Hi Bronwyn, how are you?
I'm well, thanks, Rosie.
So today we're going to be doing a neurological assessment that focuses on your gait, which is your walking pattern. So essentially we're going to be looking at different areas such as how you sit up from a chair, sit back down, walking normally just to point on the floor and back, walking on your toes, walking on your heels, and then walking, it's called tandem, so it's heel to toe, essentially like you're walking on a tightrope. So doing all these tests indicates there's multiple systems that are used when you're performing your gait pattern. There's cerebellar, vision, sensory, all your cranial nerves. They all play a part in terms of how you walk, whether you do any compensatory movements such as swinging your legs, whether your arms are moving, whether they're not, whether you have trouble initiating your gait, all stuff like that comes under the systems within the brain that control your gait pattern. So if there is any compromise or dysfunction within your gait, such as being unable to initiate your gait or having trouble lifting your leg high, stuff like that could indicate that there is a problem within those systems, but more testing obviously is needed to determine which system is causing that issue. So gait analysis is sort of an initial assessment in regard to determining further issues, whether there's stuff occurring within the brain or just muscle weakness that's causing these problems as you walk. So a positive test result is essentially you can perform all the things I ask of you and your gait looks relatively normal. So even stride length, regular pace, arms moving normally, body upright, stuff like that. Not stumbling, looks like your balance is steady. All things like that indicate that everything's functioning normally. And again, like I said before, a negative test result would be fumbling, loss of balance, uneven step length, maybe hunched over. Things like that indicate that there could be an issue within the cerebellar function and system. So we'll get into the assessment now, just over there. So Bronwyn, if you could just walk to this bench right here, turn and walk back towards me. Yep, so the next one is walking up on your toes, just to the same spot and back for me. So walking right up on the balls of your feet.
Would you like me to take my shoes
Yes,
off?
that might make it easier. And then back, yep. The next one, similar, but you're rocking back on your heels. Walking as normally as you can, back on your heels. And the last one, it's called tandem walking, but essentially it's just like you're walking on a tightrope, heel to toe. You can have your arms out to give it a bit of balance if you need be. Yeah. Alright, well that's the assessment part of the analysis done, and we'll go have a chat about your results. So going off the gait analysis that we just performed, everything looked pretty normal, the toe walking, tandem, up on your heels, and just the regular walking. I also noted as you stood up out of the chair that everything was functioning normally there. So this would warrant a positive test result for the gait analysis. What this indicates to me is that all the chemicals in your brain are functioning normally. So the chemicals that usually are affected in terms of Parkinson's disease, which would warrant a negative test result because you have difficulties initiating gait, balance, stuff like that. All the chemicals that occur within this disorder aren't functioning properly, and they affect all the different systems in your body that are taking part within gait. So because everything was functioning normally, it indicates to me that there is no presence of any disorders in terms of your gait pattern.